Two-length lead, it is Smile in front and emergency call second.
Smile sweeps the Florida Stallion Stakes Series with a two-length victory in the final division, named coincidentally after his sire in reality. The 2-year-old colt was bred by his owner, Francis Genter. In reality, sired the champion, Desert Victon, but perhaps his greatest contribution to racing is that he is a prominent stallion carrying on the Man o' War bloodline. Through Marvin Sugarman Productions, the Racing Video Magazine was able to acquire some rare footage of Man o' War in a piece produced and narrated by Frank Wright on the great match races of modern racing.
Has been part of the American thoroughbred scene since 1821 and 1822, when American Eclipse ran 2 great match races, one of them right here in Long Island. And the racing manual lists over 150 match races run since then, virtually one a year. They seem to be specially appealing to the American people, more so to French and English racing interests. There were famous ones all through the 19th century, one the subject of many paintings, Ten Broerick and Molly McCarthy, a famous mare of the time. And one gambler was supposed to have lost $1 million on the mare. That was a lot of money 100 years ago. In modern times, the greatest thoroughbred ever was involved in a great match race, Man o' War. Now, Big Red was only defeated once in his entire career. And towards the end of his 3-year-old year, this handsome big thoroughbred had done about everything that could be done, but he had not defeated the Derby winner of that year, Sir Barton. And so a match race was conceived, and it was run in Canada. There's Jack Dempsey, the Manasseh Mauler, pictured with Big Red. And this particular race drew international interest, but it turned out to be an easy go for Man o' War.
They're off and running. Man o' War takes the lead over Sir Barton. As they come around the first turn, it's Man o' War leading Sir Barton by a length. Turning into the backstretch, it's Man o' War by 2 lengths and going away. As they come around the far turn and into the stretch, it's Man o' War leading Sir Barton by 15 lengths and under a strong hold. And Man o' War is an easy winner.
Man o' War won by 17 lengths, took 6 seconds off the track record. Just a fantastic horse. And the owner of the loser, Sir Barton, Commander Ross, said he was the greatest horse of all time. Even so, there were those who thought that Sir Barton was not his best at the time. And so it continues to go with match races, as we shall see. 1938 was to be the next big hullabaloo match race. The West Coast favorite was a rags to riches horse, Seabiscuit, purchased for $2,500, and he was pitted against a son of Man o' War, a blue blood, often in the script of these match races, War Admiral. They had nearly met on several occasions in proposed races. One or the other came up ailing, but finally this race by Alfred Vanderbilt was gotten together at Pimlico in the fall of '38 for only a $15,000 purse and a lot of sportsmanship on the part of both owners. War Admiral, a son of Man o' War, hated the starting gate, and so as these two paraded to the post that afternoon, it was agreed it would be a walk-up start. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt interrupted a meeting to hear this race, and after a couple of false starts, they're going.
There they go. Seabiscuit is going to the front. It's Seabiscuit leading in a surprise move. As they turn into the back stretch, it's Seabiscuit leading by a length on 1/2. Neither horse has yet been extended. As they go by the half-mile post, War Admiral is starting to move up. It's Seabiscuit by a neck. War Admiral moves up to him on the outside. It's now Seabiscuit and War Admiral head and head, with neither horse having an advantage. All the way around the far turn, it's Seabiscuit and War Admiral head and head. They're head and head. Singer now has gone to the whip on War Admiral, but it's still Seabiscuit and War Admiral head and head. Seabiscuit and War Admiral still head and head. And now Wolf has drawn his whip. He reaches down and he hits Seabiscuit once, twice, and Seabiscuit responds. He draws clear. It's Seabiscuit by 1 length, by 2 lengths. War Admiral seems through. It's Seabiscuit by 3, by 4. It's all Seabiscuit.
Well, the surprise move referred to was on the part of jockey George Wolf, who took Seabiscuit, a stretch runner, to the lead. And keep that in mind. Each one of these match races, the early leader is the winner. 4 years later, we had just entered World War II, and another rags to riches situation came up. A little colt named Alsab had been bought in the fall sales for $700 and had done very, very well. He raced constantly. Some people thought he was overworked, but he was a valiant little horse, and he won a lot of races. Whirlaway was from the Calumet Farm, the Derby winner, and the hue and cry again went up for a match race, and they met at Narragansett Park in Providence, Rhode Island, now a defunct racetrack, but at this time scene of a very exciting race between two top performers of 1942.
In the backstretch, Alsab is leading by 3 lengths and is under a stout hold. As they approach the far turn, Whirlaway is starting to move up on the outside. Around the turn, Alsab still holds a length, but Whirlaway is coming on. As they turn into the stretch, it's still Alsab in front, and here comes Whirlaway under the whip. It's Alsab by 3/4 of a length, Alsab by a half, with Whirlaway still coming on. It's Alsab by a half a length, and here's the winner. It's Alsab by a nose.
This was one of the most exciting of match races, but still the same program. Alsab went to the lead. Alsab won the race. 1955. Swaps, Nashua, Arcaro, Shoemaker, Magic in all 4 names. Swaps had won the Derby, Nashua second. They had to have a match race, Mid-America this time in Chicago. A very, very dramatic meeting between 2 great horses and 2 great riders. There were over 30,000 people that came to see this race, and of course it was assumed again that the fast horse would go to the lead. Here they are in the paddock, Nashua and Swaps supposedly had a foot that wasn't just right. That appears usually as well. Eddie Arcaro tells you about the strategy.
Match race in my life, I don't think Shoemaker had, by the way. I did have an advantage over him. Match races, the best place to be in a match race is in front.
And I think it must have been a shock to your friend Bill Shoemaker, because he thought he'd be in front waiting for
Yeah,
you.
he thought he'd be in front easy, I guess. And in fact, I don't think he left the gate with the intentions of only stealing a lead.
And they're off. Swaps veers out of the starting gate to the right, but Eddie Arcaro goes immediately to work on Nashua.
I rode Nashua like he was going about 1/4 mile into the first turn, and when I got there, I naturally sent him outside of the path that you'll see. I'm in number 1 and Shoemaker's in 2. I beat him to the path here, which was his clue to the whole race. There was a path that separated us. It was very bad. It doesn't show in the picture. I've seen this picture before. But that track was very deep, believe it or not. It rained all night. See, I gave him a little hunch out there and kind of helped me a little bit. Put him into that path. As I say, you can't see it, but it was very deep where I had him running.
And you were on better footing.
I was in the right place to be.
Gee, I always thought you were so fair.
Oh, well, off of a horse.
But I imagine, and a brilliant rider he is, and what a gifted horseman Bill Shoemaker is. But that moment, he must have been surprised. And
I did. We had him surprised, and every time he'd move to me, I would move away a little bit, and he would get to this path again. I kept putting him out into that path. Well, to get away from it, he would have to get away from me.
there has never been a match race from that day to this, ever, when one didn't train for it with speed from this day and try to get to the lead and command the race.
That is right. These two horses ran the first 3/4 mile in 10 flat. Now, the fastest race of that day, when you look back on it if you wish, was about 14. They were running 3/4 mile in 14. So the 10 was just an exceptional race. Of course, I went on to beat Swaps very easy after this, but I had knocked him out. He was finished when we returned for home. And I was criticized for whipping Nashua so much in this race, but I really knowing Nashua, if you knew Nashua, it'd make you whip him because he would just pull flat up on you.
Well, I think all three negative factors that can happen in a match race happened in this one. The rider tactic, now very obvious, take the lead. The fact that one part of the racetrack may be better than another. And the third factor, by the time the match day comes around, one horse may not be at his best. So it was 20 years before the hue and cry got answered. And in 1975, it was Ruffian versus 3-year-old Derby winner Foolish Pleasure.
When the great day came, where were you sitting out here at Belmont?
Well, down there right about the finish line.
With the owners?
With the owners.
And pretty confident that Ruffian was
you're
going to have herself a day.
never confident.
Yeah.
July 6, 1975 was the date of the great match, as it was known. Foolish Pleasure, the Kentucky Derby winner, against Ruffian, the top filly. Boy against girl.
I think that Ruffian's going to win because she's the better horse.
Well, I pick Foolish Pleasure just because he's a male.
Ruffian because she's a female.
I like Foolish Pleasure because I'm a male chauvinist pig.
To avid racegoers, there was more than just a battle of the sexes. 50,000 fans packed Belmont Park to see the great match and every manner of comparing the horses was tried. The daily racing form found that horse trainers favored Ruffian by a 3-to-1 margin. The public agreed. Ruffian went off as a 2-to-5 favorite.
It is now post time. Foolish Pleasure on the outside goes for the lead. Ruffian along the inside up to challenge. Ruffian on the inside now gets for the front by a head. Foolish Pleasure on the outside is right there. She's in front by a head. He's on the outside. Now there's stride for stride. Down the backstretch, past the first quarter, Ruffian has the lead by a head. On the outside, Foolish Pleasure staying right with her. They continue down the backstretch. It's Ruffian on the rail in front by a head. Foolish Pleasure is on the outside and challenging. Now she's in front by half a length with Foolish Pleasure on the outside second. The first quarter in 22 1/5 seconds. Ruffian has broken down. Ruffian is stopped. Foolish Pleasure continuing.
After going 3/16 of a mile, I felt pretty good, and then she ran another quarter of a mile, and I see her make a bad step. That was the end of it.
Could you tell what had happened at all?
Could not.
What did you do at that point?
Tried to run around the racetrack.
You ran around the racetrack?
But the guards would not let me on the track until Foolish Pleasure finished.
Did you have any idea of the gravity of the injury?
Not at that time, but I knew it had to be bad.
Yeah.
And the ambulance, when I got there, they had her in the ambulance. We carried her back to her stall. Wasn't a whole lot of hope, but we tried.
Yeah. Frank, do you have any idea what might have caused the accident?
When she came out of the gate, she kind of broke in, hit the side of the gate, and in doing it, it threw all the weight on her right ankle. That's when it really happened. And her speed and heart carried her down to the middle of the backside here.
The two sesamoid bones in Ruffian's right front leg were shattered, and because she had continued to try to run after her injury, the wound was filled with dirt from the track. An attempt was made to operate on the leg, but it was unsuccessful, and Ruffian had to be destroyed. She was buried the next day in the Belmont Park infield.
Well, it was very sad because she was so beautiful and everybody used to love her, and there was a warm feeling, everybody, not only me because I was involved with her. I think everybody was a big, after she died, everybody was very upset about it.